this term up until kind of Easter. We'll be doing the mindfulness of breathing meditation practice and having a look at absorption in meditation and how to move towards that. Okay, so mindfulness of breathing meditation is something the Buddha did, something the Buddha was very keen on as a meditation practice. The benefits of the mindfulness of breathing, well, they're the same benefits of awareness practice generally. By learning to calm the mind, concentrate the mind, this can have a very beneficial effect on our whole being, whole sort of body, mind, organism. And the Buddha also taught it because he considered it a good preparation for insight. So, insight in Buddhism, insight into the nature of reality, the nature of the way things are, which was constituted the Buddha's enlightenment or awakening. He said that meditation on its own couldn't bring about that insight, but it was a good preparation ground for it. And yeah, it just has a great benefit to us as human beings, this form of meditation. It's one of, what you could call a group of practices that we teach. It's a whole group of practices within the Buddhist tradition, but we teach two of them here, the mindfulness breathing and the metta bhavana, which are bhavana practices. So the mindfulness of breathing is actually, in the original Sanskrit, Pali, Anapanasati bhavana. So it's the generation of awareness of the breath. And the metta bhavana is similar. So we're making an effort towards focusing on a particular object. Of course, in the case of the metta bhavana, it's metta. And in the case of the mindfulness of breathing, we are focusing on the breath. Or it doesn't have to be the breath. It can be the body in any way that we choose to be aware of it. But the breath seems a particularly useful object to focus on, and the one that the Buddha seemed to use most often. Okay, so we're going to be exploring it over the next few weeks by looking at two main things. We've got what stops us becoming absorbed in meditation, and then what helps us to become absorbed in meditation. So these are often referred to as the hindrances and the factors. So the factors are the factors of absorption, those qualities that are present within the absorbed state and which we can focus on and learn to generate. And then we've got those factors of the mind that are hindering that process of coming into awareness and absorption. So these are traditionally, the list of these is the 5 hindrances, but in a way it's anything that stops us becoming absorbed in meditation. So there's a few books to recommend if you want to read around meditation generally, but specifically perhaps the mindfulness of breathing. There's Kamala Shila's book, just called Meditation, which is probably available in the bookshop and library. And there is also a book by Lee Brassington, a man called Lee Brassington, an American, who was a student of Aya Kamer's, I think. And he's written a very good book called Right Concentration. And there's another book that I quite like as well, which is Focused and Fearless by a woman called Shayla Catherine, who was kind of associated with the Insight Meditation Society. Yes, so actually in one of those books, in Shayla Catherine's book, she talks about absorption in meditation and the mindfulness of breathing as being a natural release into the present moment experience, a natural release into present moment experience. So that's in a sense what one's doing with, well, I think you can say doing meditation generally, particularly with mindfulness meditation. And in a previous term, when we were doing the just sitting practice, in a way that's what we were trying to do as well. We were trying to release into the natural release into the present moment experience. So Buddhism, views us, or the natural state, as one of absorption. And it's just that we've got into a place where we're not in our natural state to just be naturally absorbed or easily absorbed into whatever is present in our experience. So the way I'm going to particularly look at the hindrances when we come to it is through the body. So I think this was sort of taken as written, as it were, by the early Buddhist tradition, that meditation is essentially focusing through the body. And there's a way of viewing the hindrances that is a bodily based way of viewing the hindrances, which I'll introduce probably starting next week. And well, of course, in a way, it's the body, because what stops us becoming absorbed is this thinking mind that's always running on one program or another, which you could say is what the 5 hindrances are. They're just one of these program options or main program options of what can happen in the mind, stopping us getting into meditation. But today, what I thought we'd look at is something that I've personally found quite useful as a way to start in meditation. And that's by looking at our relationship to this present moment. So usually we are not in this present moment experience. Usually we don't want to be in this present moment experience. And usually what the mind is doing is in some way or other taking us out of this present moment experience because we don't want to be in it. So it does it by running to the future, thinking about something that's more desirable, fantasizing, simply just wandering around, endlessly in interesting thoughts or even not so interesting thoughts. It just wanders around. But it's always taking us out of that present moment experience. Similarly, if we get into sloth and torpor, that's another way that the mind uses to get out of present moment experience. It just goes, I don't want to be here, this is too uncomfortable, or this is too boring, so it sort of drops out into sleep. Yeah, so it has these kind of strategies to keep us away from this natural release into present moment experience. So today, I thought what we could do, yes, Liz.
I'm sorry, I wonder if I can ask a question.
Yeah.
Why do we not want to be in the present moment?
Well, I think it's because we haven't really addressed something so there's something that's uncomfortable in our experience that we haven't addressed. And so rather than come to that discomfort, we flip out into these other things. And that's what we're going to look at today, essentially, is look at what doesn't want to be here in our experience, feel our way into what doesn't want to be here. And find where that is in our experience. So asking ourselves first the question, what doesn't want to be here? And then see if we can sort of locate that in the body. So I thought we'd do that, just as some exercises to start us off, looking in that way and see what we find. So we'll do that for a little while, and then have a chance to feedback about that, and then we'll go into the meditation. So, well, let's just settle for a moment. So, before we do this exercise, it's useful just to come into being here now and present to the body and what we're experiencing in the body in this moment. So maybe, of course, that we are simply happy to, or content to just be here now. Just asking ourselves that question. Am I happy to be here now? Does it in some way feel difficult to simply be here now? There's some sort of restlessness. So if there is, as it were, something that doesn't want to be here now, can we feel into what that is and where that is in the body? Even just acknowledging something doesn't want to be here now. It's the start of the process of becoming aware of it. So you can find whatever that is that doesn't want to be here now in the felt sense. The felt sense is like a sort of intuitive intelligence. Find things in our experience, even things quite on the edge of our experience. And this could be many different things, maybe some unacknowledged emotion, a grief, a sadness. It could be a lingering anxiety about something, something undone, unsaid. Or a lingering anxiety about something done and said. Be manifesting as a physical discomfort. Okay, so Drawing that exercise to a close. Okay, so anyone wants to just a chance to feedback about that, what we discovered.
I got rather distracted by the chaos of whatever was going on.
That sounded like, yeah, something going on here. Those of you online, there's loads of beeping.
But it was interesting because I suppose I tried to just use that.
Mm.
And it was
sorts of things that I want to interact with, change stuff, and I over the since I started committing Buddhist, I've been attempting to train myself to understand that I can be happy even though I haven't got everything done, because I will never have it.
No.
And that actually I can be happy while doing those things. Even I don't know if that makes any sense.
That makes lots of sense. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone online? Any thoughts about that exercise? How it went? Dan, hi.
Hi. I think I found myself, I don't know which of the problems it is, but I want to be gone from here because I have something else to do.
Yeah.
So I want the session to end because I've got something I want to do. It's the bind is I've got to stay here because I'm disciplining myself. But do I really want to be here? Well, I don't want 2 hours to have gone because I won't get them back again, but I would rather be doing what I want to do in 2 hours' time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
You'd rather be doing that now?
Yes.
Yeah. And what did you do with that, if anything?
I just recognized that that's a negative state of mind for actually being here now.
Yeah.
But I recognized it now, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Sort of park it and don't worry. Then the time will come. If I'm lucky to live for the next 3 hours, I will get to where I will be then. Yeah. No big problem.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan. Okay, so yeah, I think for me, I've always found that a useful thing to do. Just to start a meditation, to just look to see if it really doesn't want to be here now, and to find that, in my experience, in some way. For me, I often do that quite sort of viscerally, as it were, within the, feel where that is in the kind of body, mind. And this idea that there's something there that hasn't been addressed, that mentioned earlier when Liz asked the question, that it needs some kind of meeting. So if it's not met, I think it can continue to be the fuel for whatever hindrance it is. And that when it does get met, it does get some recognition, quite often, it just abates. Sometimes it's more persistent, and in the antidotes to the hindrances, the traditional ones, they kind of there's stepped up levels of trying to combat a hindrance that's very persistent. But often it's just that simple recognition. I think with that exercise also trying to show that it needs a recognition at some kind of depth in that experience, because we could just sort of tick it off in the mind. It might not be enough because it might not feel met by that. But I've often noticed myself, there was just often a kind of bit of an energetic release when I really kind of acknowledge what doesn't want to be here now. Okay, so that's all the kind of input I'm going to introduce for today. So we'll be spending more time on looking at the hindrances over the next few weeks. So let's just do a longer meditation to the end of till 2 o'clock. Tuning in again with the body, being aware that the body is often a very good barometer of our overall experience. So if we're holding on in some way, mentally, emotionally, it's often being reflected in the body. So be aware of how our posture is. Are there any areas of holding, contraction? We can ask ourselves the question again. Am I happy to be here now? We're asking questions in meditation. It's useful just to allow the question to drop in. So just allow it to drop down and allow any answer to a question to just arise, as it were, of its own accord. Being as honest as we can with the question and with the answer. There's no right or wrong experience. It's just what's happening. And it may be that we are just happy to be here now with this experience. Or if there is something that's not happy to be here now, just feeling our way into what that is. And doing that with a gentleness and a respect and a loving awareness. We hold some of that attitude towards our experience, then we're much more likely to get cooperation and awareness is much more able to go into whatever is on the edge, whatever doesn't want to be here. Keep that attitude of kindly, gentle holding towards our experience. Come more deeply into the sensate body. And looking from the mind to the sensations of the head and face. Of the eyes, the lips, the jaw. Letting attention flow into the sensate aspect of our experience. Down through the body, sensations in the neck and throat. sensations in the upper chest. Around the heart. Sensations along the diaphragm, the bottom of the rib cage. Sensations in the lower abdomen. Starting to notice sensations that are associated with the breathing. Rise and fall of the abdomen. The rise and fall of the chest. Slight movement of the shoulders up and down. The sensation of air as it passes in through the nostrils. Noticing the quality of breathing, whether it's high in the body and short, or low and long. Allow the breath to be relaxed, easy, natural. gentle, sustained effort to remain with the breathing. Natural release into present moment experience of the breath. Allowing the breath to fill more and more of our experience. Going to surrendering into the breathing.